and welcome to the Knit a Bean podcast. My name is Echo, and I am coming to you from Montana, where I live with my husband and our two Boston Terriers, Lugnet and Lily, who is new. It has been a long time, so forgive me if I don't remember my entire intro, outro, or even the order that I do things in. But I wanted to come back and revisit the podcast and show you guys what I've been up to. I will explain a little bit of where I've been if you haven't been following me on Instagram and my intermittent updates there. But I'll do that a little bit further in. For right now, I just want to say thank you if you are back, if you're a returning viewer. I'm excited and really impressed that you have come back to see me after what has probably been close to a year and a half or 2 years of hiatus for health. As you can see, we did adopt a new Boston Terrier about a week and a half ago. This is Lily. She is 8 years old. We adopted her through the same rescue that we adopt all of our Boston Terriers. And she's into the breeder release, but she's more of a home breeder. She was already people friendly, half potty trained, had medical care, etc. So she isn't quite as wild of a child as Lugnet. Lugnet is still around, however, I think she's hanging out in the living room right now. She's 12 now. She's an old lady. She's still very active. She did break her back this year. And so she has some back end paralysis and some bowel incontinence, so she wears a diaper some of the time. However, she is getting a custom wheelchair in the mail 2 days from now. So if I don't get around to editing this before it arrives, I will put some footage in of her testing out her wheelchair here. It's from Eddie's Wheels, and we're so excited because it means that she will be able to get back to playing fetch, which she has really missed. Lugnet. Want the ball? You missed it. Back it up. Good girl. She gets around pretty darn good without the wheelchair. And like I said, she's still really active, but, I want her to have the best life she can have. She's otherwise totally healthy and has many more years to go, according to the vet. So we wanted to make sure she had what she needs. As you can see, I also am in a wheelchair now. If you have followed me on Instagram, you'll know that this is more of a tool for me that I use than a 24/7 all the time thing. I can still physically walk. I cannot walk very far or for very long. I also cannot stand for very long. So I use it around the house a lot for day-to-day activities like cooking, cleaning, things like that, walking the dogs, taking the dogs out to potty, anything like that. But I can also, I could stand up out of this to show you what my jeans look like if I want to. Medically, technically, if I stand up out of this, I should really be using a rollator or a two-wheeled walker. But I've never used a two-wheeled walker. I told him straight up that I wouldn't. And so a rollator would be the option for that. I do have one. I'm a very, very naughty girl, and I don't use it very much because it's hard to move around outside of the house. So I have a cane. Like, for instance, I will use a cane to go around the side of the car to get the wheelchair out. And I also hold on to a lot of furniture and stuff. I can balance without it. There's a good chance I'll fall. I have a car that sketchily fits this wheelchair. It is definitely not wheelchair accessible. I cannot go somewhere in it by myself with a wheelchair because in order to make it wheelchair accessible, we have to put a mobile ramp in it that weighs 72 pounds, and the most that I can pick up is one of these dogs at 17 pounds. So hopefully someday we'll be able to remedy that. But if you or anybody you know uses a wheelchair, you know that wheelchair accessible vehicles are stupendously not actually accessible due to finances. And I'm hoping maybe I can look into a government grant or something like that at some point down the road. Anyway, that is the very short of what has changed visually in this picture. Other than that, what have I been up to? I kind of want to save the big story of where I've been for the last 1.5 to 2 years for later in the podcast. So what I've been up to recently, besides adopting a dog, is a lot of sewing. I still have obviously a ton of yarn and spinning wool and things like that. Unfortunately, my hands have gotten really, really, really painful and stiff, and a lot of times I can't make a fist, especially in the morning, or if I hold still for very long, they'll become very stiff. Oh, there comes Lugs. And it makes it very hard for me to pinch or hold needles. I do feel like I started a new medication several months ago that is helping that a lot. I do feel like I could probably start getting back into knitting, and one of my goals this week is to try casting on a pair of socks and see how knitting that goes, because I need some new socks. And so I am slowly going to try and do those hobbies again. I don't think that right now I could do them for 4, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time like I used to be able to knit for 8 hours straight. It's not a repetitive strain injury or anything like that. This is just part of my bodily process. As a sub for that, I have been sewing a ton. I was just getting into sewing when I stopped podcasting. I don't even know if I was getting into sewing when I stopped podcasting before. It's been so long I cannot remember, you guys. But I've been sewing a lot because where I'm at in Montana, there's not a ton of stores that sell big girl clothes. And I really just hate looking like everybody else. And so even if I were thinner, I think I would still probably be into it just because everybody shops at the same stores. But being bigger, on top of that, I'm short and I'm big, and none of the clothes fit, because a lot of the clothes designed for big girls are designed for girls that are 5'6" and above. And so I'm not, guys, I'm 5'3". Hate to break it to you. Not only that, my legs don't even match up to your average 5'3" person. I have like a normal torso and then extra short legs. My inseam is 25, which is the normal inseam for capri pants. So I can buy capris and they are normal ankle length pants on me. So I struggle to find clothes that fit, and if there's only like 2 or 3 places that sell plus size clothes, I'm gonna be wearing the same plus size clothes. Bye, Lugs. She like came to the hall and then she was like, I'm out of here. I thought you were gonna come in and say hi to us. Ooh. You went down, Lily? Ooh, girl. That's a long jump. Ooh. That was kind of a bad dismount. Where was I? Lug Nut's back. Look who's back. She is incredibly comfortable with a wheelchair. Lily is new, and obviously her previous owners didn't use one. Lugs has been through the cane, the walker, a manual wheelchair, the electric wheelchair. So at this point, she is fully trained around wheelchairs. She loves them. She wants to go for a ride in them all the time. If you tell her beep beep, she moves out of the way. It's pretty funny. Anyway, what I was saying is, if you only have 2 or 3 clothing stores that sell your size of clothing, you're going to be wearing the same clothes as everyone else. And in my case, if it's bottoms, they're still not going to fit good. So I had gotten into sewing and I wanted to have essentially some me-made wardrobe. I had maybe 4 or 5 items when I quit sewing, or when I quit podcasting, and then I couldn't sew when I was really sick. So I would say in the last month, I've started sewing again. I started back out with some things. While I was sick, my husband washed one of my handmade items that was made out of something that was not washable, unfortunately. And it did shrink. And for a long time, it did not fit anymore. However, I've lost weight since then and it now fits again. But it's never quite looked the same. He felt bad, and so he offered to buy me replacement fabric. Part of the reason that it was special is it was a one-off fabric, so that specific fabric could not be replaced again. It was a silk Crayola plaid, and so I found something similarly one-off, very important to me in that way of like uniqueness that I wanted, which was some fabric from Molly in Australia, way across the pond, which is always like a big purchase for me because of shipping. And so I ordered it, and Shelly had been following me on Instagram, knew that I was not feeling well, and kindly, lovely person offered to send me a little something extra to help me get back in the sewing spirit. And this, you guys, I'm not kidding, was probably close to a year ago, at least 9 months ago. And I was so excited. I wanted to get back in the sewing spirit, and I couldn't for various reasons of health. And when I finally did, that was the first thing that I pulled out. I made some shorts out of the fabric that I ordered and a tank top out of the extra that she sent me. And it was adorable. Can I have my arm back so I can show the people? Oh, can you sit on the actual arm of the chair? Oh, I know. She's like, but Mom, it's not quite as comfortable. I know. Oh, you pretty girl? This is a failure. Oh, I didn't think about this when I decided to put a dog on my lap. So this is the fabric that Shelly sent me as a little extra. It's like a hand-drawn, almost kind of plaid painted, and it's just super cool. And then I have one of her labels in there. So I made an Ogden cami out of it, which I love. And it goes really, really well. Boop, boop. Lugs, you're gonna keep me from doing everything, aren't you? Boop, boop, boop. It goes really well with the other Molly fabric that I had ordered for myself, which I made into some PHR shorts. The PHR shorts are by Closet Core, and they go up to a 63-inch hip. I made a 28, size 28 straight. I should have made a 26, really. I was going off the size that I already had cut out. I did remeasure myself, and like I felt like I fit well within the 28 size, but they're too big. They're like a whole size too big. I love them. I find them super comfortable. I will try and insert some pictures here of me wearing the Ogden cami and the Pietro shorts together. But they're ultra roomy. Like, I have a good 3-4 inches at my waist if I pull it out. And that's not really stretching elastic. I totally could have got away with a 26. I've recently, in the last 6 months or so, lost about 70 pounds due to illness. And, like, my measurements haven't changed that much, but my body shape has changed a lot. So I really need to, like, reconcile that in my brain, that even though my measurements mostly have only dropped by about 1 inch each, which still fits well within those sizes, I really need to go down like a whole size. Hi, what you doing? Anyway, I still love them. One of the things that I love about the Pietro shorts in particular, or the Pietro pants, either make or models, is the gigantic, enormous, roomy pockets that let you do anything. They have a nice flat front, which looks great under clothes. I know a lot of people like to do the French tuck thing. It just never works for me. Doesn't look the way it looks on everybody else. I don't know. Just doesn't suit me. And then they have an elastic back, which I always in my head kind of think like elastic waists look a little bit, I don't know, aged or like low effort dressing or whatever. But I think having the flat front and the waist really takes away from that, in that like it doesn't look as, like, it still looks very dressed up. The other thing is, sitting in a wheelchair all day, you become a fan of elastic, because wearing regular jeans like I'm wearing right now really cuts you in half. The Ogden cami that I wear with that a lot, I mean, all of it goes together really well, but the Ogden cami is by True Bias, and I made a size 26 in that as well. I did not write down what, oh, same as above. So True Bias patterns go up to a, oh, I didn't write down what they go up to in a bust, but for a hip they go up to a 59.5 inch hip. So not quite as wide of a range, but still pretty good. I think they go up to like a size 30 instead of a 32. I do like the True Bias cami. It's a half lined, so like when you're looking at it inside, your lining inside goes about halfway down, which means like if you have small boobs and stuff, you can wear it without nipping out too much. I can't quite get away with no bra under it. I mean, I guess I could. I went a whole year and a half basically without bras, but I kind of looked super saggy, and I have sagged to prove it now. It has, what are those, darts? Not darts. Darts? No. My brain is killing me. The things on the sides, I swear they're darts, but I don't think they are. To give you a little chest room, I think it comes, I did not write down, but I really feel like it comes in a B cup and a D cup sizing for the pattern. I could be wrong. I might be mixing it up with a different one. But I do know that the straps on the larger sizes are wider than the straps on the smaller sizes, which I appreciate. And it just doesn't take very much fabric, which is lovely. It's nice. It's light. This particular fabric from Molly Molly is like a super thin, I think it's cotton poplin, which is just so nice in the summer. It's like really lightweight, and it gets so hot here, so I love how airy and breezy and not heavy it is. The shorts was a cotton twill, 100% organic cotton twill, and same thing, like it's just so breathable and lovely. So both of those are just amazing. Molly Molly puts out a fabric release a couple times a year. It might be quarterly, it might be every 6 months. I'm not 100% positive off the top of my head. I order labels from them a lot. And they just have these really cool, like usually super bright or super bold, bigger prints, which look great, especially for me as a bigger person. Like if you get a smallerish print, it can become very busy very quickly, but it can be hard to find a bigger print. And then, in my opinion, having shopped a whole lot of fashion fabrics in the last few years, it's hard to find prints that are not either stripes or flowers. And I like geometric designs, you know, and I don't want everything to be plaid as much as I love plaid. You know, I enjoy just abstract things that are not just a flower. So, or just floral shaped, even abstract florals are popular. So I love that. The other thing is I have really focused when I bought a lot of my fashion fabric, because I bought much of this when I first finally got on disability. And when I did that, I did it with the intention of I'm building a wardrobe and I want each thing to go with the next thing. So I tried really hard not to buy a fabric just because I liked it, but also to limit myself to fabrics that tended to go together. And I picked a few colors that I wanted to work around, like a rust orange and a mustard yellow and a certain color of green, gray, black, mocha brown, purples, and I feel like teals was another color, although I don't have that much teals. So I tried to stay within that, like, and it was a very fall palette, but it looks very good on me. I have a lot of mauve too. So I tried to stick within that. So basically everything that I have kind of goes with everything else that I have. Both of those fabrics from Molly Molly have a lot of purple in them. The second one has a lot of purple and a lot of yellow, which I love because I also have a lot of yellow in other things. So, one thing that I made that I don't have listed on my list is this tank top. This is a curved hem pocket tank by Ellie and Mac. I have no idea what size I made. I think a 2 or a 3X. It's a bit long on me. I would probably shorten it if I made it again. I was making it again, but I messed up that particular one so bad that I decided to just put it in the corner, and maybe I'll turn it into underwear or something. Because I did the binding on one arm one way, and then I did it a completely different way on the other arm, and it was very obvious, and I did not want to unpick that much faux cover stitch. And I also, one of the bar tacks on I actually put a pocket on that one, and one of the bar tacks looks great, and one of the bar tacks is all wonky, and I had taken it out, and I tried to do it again, and it went wonky again, and it must be like the grain of the fabric right there must be messed up or something, because it keeps making it wonky. And like I was fine with like one mistake that was visible, but like by the time I had 2 large mistakes that were visible, I was like, I'm done. It wasn't a very expensive fabric. It matched this. It was like a yellow stripe that was very similar to this, and it had the same yellow ribbing on it. And I was just done. The fabric, the knit for this, the knit for that, and the yellow binding for it came from Mercy Tilton Fabrics. Or Mercy Tilton, is it? I always just call it Mercy Tilton. I think it might be Mercy Tilton Fabrics, but Marcy Tilton is online, based out of Oregon, and it is like a curated selection of dead stock fabric. They go to Italy twice a year, I think, and purchase a ton of dead stock fabric. Some of the stuff's really expensive, some of it's really cheap. You get everything. They have bottom weights, they have knits, they have wovens. I've gotten some awesome stuff on there because it's dead stock, which is left over from the commercial fashion industry. You're guaranteed that, like, it's not going to be the same Robert Kaufman linen that everybody else bought. That said, I love Robert Kaufman linen, and I have a lot of it. So it's even more unique, I guess, when you're trying to do that. Like, I don't want to be wearing the same thing as everybody else. Maybe you don't want to buy the same fabric as everybody else either. Some fabrics are really popular. Like, if you're into quilting or something, like, everybody knows Restart quilting fabrics, things like that. It's one way to even further be unique, right? There's a limited amount of each dead stock fabric. That said, I've ordered a lot from Marcy Tilton, and I really enjoy a lot of the fabrics that I get from them. So this is just an easy 3-piece. It's got 2 pieces for the back, 1 for the front, and then your bindings. I do not use a serger. I don't have a serger. I have a $150 old white sewing machine that I bought in the late 90s, early 2000, like 2001, somewhere in there. That has 18 stitches, and the most basic, built out of metal, could drop that sucker on a foot and break it machine, that I have had for, since I bought it, 25 years probably, which I used forever and ever and ever. And then I splurged when I got my Social Security back pay, and I bought myself a very nice faff that I refer to as the Beast. This lovely thing right here. I refer to it as the Beast because that thing weighs 29-ish pounds, something like that, 25, 30. It's heavy. My husband has to pick it up if I want it moved. I got a 1-year like lease return, used and refurbished with a warranty for a year. And then I pretty much didn't sew on it for a year after using it for like 1 month, because then I got hospitalized. However, it has been amazing. It does more things than I know what to do with on it. I've always been really hesitant to buy a electronic type sewing machine with like an LED screen and all that jazz, because I feel like it's just more stuff to break. And I will say, in 25 years, I've needed to service, like repair that white machine 1 time. I got the thread wrapped around the flywheel, and I took it apart and attempted to fix it. I did get all the thread out and everything, but when I put it back together, I had the bobbin in the wrong position, the bobbin winder, and that made it clunk really bad when it would try to sew. And so I took that in recently and had that fixed. I did get my butt chewed for not having it serviced more regularly, just like regular cleaning and whatnot, because they were like, dude, we could tell that you have never taken this thing for love in 25 years. And it runs much better now. But I've had this one for 2 years, and I had the tiny little thread guide right above the needle come flying off of it, and so I had to take it in and have that put back on. And I feel like that's just not something that would ever happen on a newer machine. Do you know what I mean? Or on an older machine. Do you know what I mean? And so I do feel like the more complicated, the faster it breaks. But it does anything I want it to do. It automatic buttonholes, although I still have not figured out how to use the automatic IDT buttonhole foot. I have it. I've plugged it in. I cannot make the thing work. I've watched a million videos. I just use the actual buttonhole stitch and do it manually that way. But I mean, it's better than having to zigzag a buttonhole on my old machine. It has, well, I don't know, like 183 stitches on it. I can draw ants in my pants on it if I want, you know what I mean? And like multiple alphabets and stuff. So, I do love it. The other thing that I really love about it, and part of the reason that I spend so much money on a machine, is it has a hands-free start-stop button, which means, and when I bought it, I wasn't using a wheelchair, means that if my feet go non-functional, I can sew with just my hands. I looked at getting one with a knee lever, but I figured that just based on my overall health, there might be a time in the future when I didn't have functionality of my lower body at some point. And that reliably my hands seemed to do better at the time. Currently my hands do just as crappy as my feet, so whatever. But I'm really glad I did that, because it means that I can sew 100% from my wheelchair. I do use the foot pedal for my wheelchair right now too. What I do is I flip up my foot plates on my wheelchair. I have a lap desk that raises things like 2 inches that you would normally set like your laptop on your computer, with a little wrist cushion bar on it built in. And I put, and it sits kind of at a slope, I put my I put my sewing machine pedal on that, and it is raised up enough that putting my feet on it is the same as having them rest on my foot plate normally. And so I can push my pedal and sew from that with my wheelchair under the desk. This desk is an adjustable height desk. It's not automatic because I'm not rich and I don't have $700 to splurge on a desk. I got it at Ashley Furniture for $250. Again, before I used a wheelchair, knew that I would really need an adjustable desk. I wanted it because I liked the idea of having an adjustable height sewing table. And so I can roll my wheelchair under there and do that. I do sew 100% from my wheelchair because I struggled to push like a rolling chair around with my feet in here. And I need to be able to go from the sewing machine to the ironing board to press seams and stuff. So normally I have the sewing machine here, and then right here where I'm at, I have a full-size ironing board set up, and it's I just don't raise it all the way up. I drop it down to a lower height that's about equal with this, and I can just wheel out and wheel into the ironing board. My iron sits right here on my shelf, is plugged in. It's sitting on a silicone hot mat, and I press my seams and iron, and then I go back and forth, and that works really well for me. Before I started sewing for my wheelchair, I could sew for a maximum of about 15 to 20 minutes at a time. Now I could do it for an hour, or even 2. I mean, my back might get sore, but like, it's not nearly the concern that it was. So it's super increased my accessibility in some ways. So when I sew jersey, I don't use a serger. This machine has like a faux serge and a faux cover stitch. What you doing back here? Will you sit up? Oh, come here. And I just use those. I do have like some specialty feet for it that go like a faux cover stitch foot or a faux serge foot, but I don't use those. I mean, really, I just use a plain old 1/4 inch quilting foot like for everything, unless I'm putting on a zipper. Even for buttonholes, that's what I use. I think because I feel so proficient with that main basic foot, I have like 20 feet for it. I never use them. I have a blind hem foot. Can't freaking get the thing to work to save my life. I mean, I should really practice using all those special feet. Like, I have a top stitch foot because it's like, man, that'll make top stitching so easy, but I top stitch pretty straight with a 1/4 inch foot because I used to quilt and I don't ever use it. Like, it would mean having to switch out my foot and I'm just too lazy. Anyway, so the next things that I made, are you just gonna sit up here and live on me? She's feeling a little clingy with the new dog. The next thing that I made was something I actually cut out before I got sick. I had cut out several projects before I got super sick and had them just sitting in here. They were literally sitting in my room, ready to go. And then I got so sick I couldn't do anything. And they sat in here for 18 months. And then when I got better enough, I was like, hey, I still have those things cut out. I wonder if they'll still fit. And since, like I said, you've got to give me some room here. My measurements had only changed by about 1 inch. I just went ahead and made them. So I have Hudson pants. These are a cropped jogger. They're more like knee length than cropped. And I have no idea what this purple French terry is called. It was like a dead stock or a remnant or something. I'm pretty sure I got it from Lamanzi fabric. But I might have gotten it from Stone Mountain and Daughter. I don't know. And then a matching ribbing. It's got cool, like, edged pockets. They are a full pocket. I personally would make them a little bit bigger. I think that originally they were a little bit bigger, and like over time this French terry just seems to keep shrinking. That said, I really like these. They're super comfortable. The French terry itself shrinks every time you wash it, and that stretches right back out, kind of like a good pair of jeans. The only thing that I don't love about these is the waistband is huge comparatively. And that was probably just my mistake in cutting it out and or the change in my measurements. It's intended to have a drawstring, and I didn't put that in. I just did a elastic waist, and I think I should have gone ahead and put the drawstring in because they have tendency to try and slip down on me. I am going to make more of these. I have a rust orange terry that I want to make them out of, and I'm going to put the drawstring in when I do that because of that. I'm also going to cut the waistband a bit smaller. Like I'm going to grade in the size of the waistband. So love these. Booger, come here. Boop. I know. I moved you. And you were just busy licking me. The other thing that I had already cut out were these jeans. Woo! This is a mauve stretch denim that I did get from Lamanzi fabric, which is a dressmaker's fabric website based in the UK. I believe they actually have a physical store there too as well, because they do like classes and stuff. I love them. They're one of my favorite fabric websites, and like you'll notice, like I have certain ones that I hit over and over. There's not nearly as many dressmaking or fashion fabric sellers as there is for quilting fabric, for obvious reasons. Way less people make garments than the need exists for the quilting industry. People are super into quilting as a hobby. I used to do quilting. I cannot do quilting anymore. The actual quilt's just way too much for me to be moving them around and stuff like that, which is the whole reason that I got into garments. I wanted to get back into sewing, and I knew I couldn't lift the quilts and do that stuff. And so I asked my husband, if I decided to try and sew garments, would you help me cut them out, like on the table? Because I didn't think I could do that at the time. I didn't have the energy. And he was like, yeah, sure. because they're smaller and I think I can lift them and manipulate them around the sewing machine. So I already had these cut out. These are the Ginger jeans by Closet Core. So again, on these, a hip goes up to 63 inches, a waist goes up to 53 inches. And this was a vintage stretch denim in mauve is what it was called. I got this 2 years ago. They don't have it anymore. I've looked. And I think it was even on clearance when I got it, because I cut these out as a wearable toile or muslin or whatever you in particular want to call it. There's a number of names for it. I just wanted to do like a test fit and see how they fit. These are supposed to be like skin tight. Again, I lost weight. They're not skin tight. They are a little baggy. But the waist is pretty tight, actually. That part of my measurements didn't change very much. So I feel like I might not change the waist all that much. Size-wise, I would definitely make the legs skinnier. And I do have more stretch denim in black that I want to make another pair of these out of. They are a high-waisted skinny jean. The other view is a low-rise stovepipe. Yeah, low-rise stovepipe. And I made a size 28, graded out to a 30-ish at the hips, aka I think I cut a straight size 28. And then I smidged out at the hips by about a size. After doing my test fit, when you make your jeans, you often baste them all together and baste a waistband on and try them on to see, because every pair of jean is a little bit different due to the actual jean, you know, the denim weight, the stretch, whatever. Like, it all fits a little bit differently. You can't just assume, like, because I made a stretch pair of jeans in this size with this measurements last time, and now I bought a different brand of denim, I can make it the same way. Like, it won't fit necessarily the same. So, editing echo here. I have since found my notes, and those were not meant to be skinny jeans. I had cut out the legs for view B with a high waist from view A and hacked them together. I just forgot in the last 18 months that that's what I did. But I did write down notes on what it was and find them later. So the jeans actually came out looking exactly like I originally intended them to. So I probably don't need to change anything. Same. So I tested them out. I felt like they were a little bit tight across the hips. And so me and my husband like marked it out. And I think I probably added a 1/4 inch to each seam on the side. So adding like an inch overall, which is definitely a good size worth, right? So I had a lot of fun with these. They had already been cut out. I will insert some pictures here of me like standing up in them and wearing them with like the back pocket. I freehanded the back pocket. I had a file with a bunch of different designs from Closet Core that you could put on the back of your jeans. But in the end, so I think it was from Closet Core, maybe it was from Seamwork. In the end, I decided I just wanted to freehand it. I kind of did like a swirl, whatever, SJ, whatever, I don't know. It was just a cursive looking thing. If you trace it with chalk on one really heavily and then you put the two together and whap them really good, like on a table, like you would thwack your spun yarn, we'll transfer that chalk lightly and then you can trace over it again so that you get exactly a mirror image for your little stitching, for your pockets for top stitching. I did do all of my top stitching by hand, and I am really happy with that. I actually top stitched pretty decently. I bought a twin needle, but I didn't end up using it. I usually use those on the bottom of shirts and things like that that are jersey. But I did pretty well, I feel like. So I'll insert some pictures here of the back pocket, etc. I do have little like leather labels that I put on the back, I was really disappointed. When I washed it, the stamped leather that says the knitted bean, like it poofed back up, like the stamping came out for most of it and very little of it is still visible. My husband has a laser engraver at work because he's an art teacher, so he's going to try and re-engrave it and see if it will stick better with laser engraving, and if that works, I am going to send the rest of the labels with him to have them retraced so that they stay when they get washed. I do run virtually all of my hand-sewn clothes through the washer and dryer like normal clothing, and it does just fine. I have hand-sewn clothing that I've had for a couple of years now that it is holding up just fine. I have 2 t-shirts that are woven that need some minor repair on the shoulder seam, and I think that's just because they have a really fitted shoulder and I have really broad shoulders. But I have woven pants, not woven pants. Yeah, I do have woven pants actually, but also knitted pants. Both of those I wore almost exclusively as the only pants that I wore when I was sick, because I could not A, fit into, or B, comfortably wear any pant that had like a button. I couldn't operate a button or anything like that. And I needed to like go to wound care appointments and things and be able to get in and out of my clothes with the help of a couple of nurses. And I needed things that just slid on and off and had an elastic waistband. And so they were both capris. I wore those literally for 12 months straight, just those 2 pairs like every other day, and washed them, and they're both still rocking it just fine. So I mean, if you sew a decent seam with good Gutermann thread, it's gonna last forever, I swear. Way longer than fast fashion clothes at the very least. I mean, I sit in these and these seams get pulled tight and I'm not afraid anything's gonna come out or pop. I did use a Kylie in the Machine like jeans hardware kit for the first one, just so that I would know that I had everything, and mostly because it comes with a mini anvil for the button, the rivets and everything. But like buying a separate mini anvil, like you can get one that's shaped like an anvil, but it's going to cost you 30 bucks. The shipping on it's going to be expensive because it weighs a ton, and the little tiny mini anvil that's just button sized and rivet sized that comes with Kylie and Machine kit is perfect, amazing, works great, and like the whole kit is the price of a mini anvil normally, and then all you need to have is a hammer. I cannot in any way install a screw button or like a nail type button or rivets because I, again, don't have the hand strength. A hammer would go flying out of my hand at this point. But my husband just helped me with that. I took a good old blue piece of tailor's chalk, marked every place that I wanted a rivet, marked where my button needed to go, handed him the stuff, handed him each rivet, each button, and his biggest complaint was, oh, I put the writing on some of the rivets at the top and the writing on some of the rivets at the bottom. And I was like, honey, literally nobody cares. I sure don't. He was like, I didn't do a good enough job. I was like, you did amazing. So it's got all the rivets and everything that you would expect out of a normal one. I did do don't worry, I'm not stripping on camera. I did do the famous quilting that I just mentioned earlier, now I can't remember, for the inside for the pockets. This has like a, what do you call that? Not a modesty panel, but like a tummy tucker panel made out of the pockets, which I really like. But I really enjoyed like all the top stitching and stuff. One of the reasons that I didn't get rid of my really old ancient machine, and I just paid like $200 to have it fixed, is because I want to set it up just with a twin needle with top stitching thread just for jeans. I know they sound scary. I know people in general don't tend to make, and this is a big, huge generalization. Don't at me about how it's not true about you. I understand it does not include everybody. When I go look at sewing podcasts, I very rarely find women making pants. I find sometimes I will find non-binary people making pants. Occasionally I will find men making pants, but very, very rarely do I find people who identify as female sewing pants. Almost always they are either making exclusively tops, or if they're making bottoms, they are making skirts. At the most, maybe they're making a jumper. Maybe they've delved into like sweatpants, but I do not see them making pants that they're out wearing as like professional bottoms or daily wear bottoms out going anywhere besides Walmart. And that always makes me kind of sad because I'm just not a skirt girly. I have big chubby thighs and they rub, and I've just never really, I mean, when I was like 5, I was super into skirts, but ever since I started going to school, skirts are not really my thing. I feel like I can't go do and be me in a skirt because I'm going to flash everybody, because I was always really very much a tomboy, climbing the tree, riding the bike, jumping out of the tree. My skirt would have been flying over my head. So I was a jeans and t-shirt, I was a men's jeans and t-shirt kind of girl. And I really enjoyed making jeans. I enjoyed it as a challenge where I felt like I learned things. I have installed a zipper before, but it has been at least a solid 20 years since I did it, and I've only done it once. So I relearned how to do a fly. I learned how to install the button, even though I had my husband do it for me. I learned how to do the rivets, again, even though I had my husband do it for me. I learned all the proper top stitching places, etc. The closet core patterns are really good about explaining all those things as if you've never done it before. So if you have never made pants before, a closet core pattern is a really good place to start. There are other indie patterns that are also like that. If you've never made pants before, I would definitely start with an indie pattern. They explain things way, 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 way better than your average McCall's or Sew Something For Me or whatever patterns from Joann's. Those don't give you instructions. They just assume you know how to do things. They are basically just pattern pieces, which would probably be fine for me. I've used those before, but then I also know the basics of putting together a pair of scrubs out of that. Right now I know the basics. I've made enough pair of pants that I could probably put together a very basic pair of pants off of those, but could I put together a pair of jeans off of a McCall's? Probably not. Like, I need somebody to still hold my hand. I've only made one pair. So love them. Absolutely intend to make more. I might make the low-rise stovepipe version of the ginger jeans. But the next pair of jeans that I make is going to be the Half Moon Atelier 101 jeans, which is a non-stretch denim. This is a stretch denim, and patterns for one do not translate well to the other. So I have some non-stretch denim. I have muslin fabric. I'm going to test it out, see what needs changed, because I'm like super knock-kneed, extra short, all that junk. And then I'm going to cut out some Half Moon 101s and try those next. They are not the world's fastest make. I don't sew super, super fast anyway because I don't have that much energy. I do sew a lot faster in the wheelchair because it saves me so much energy. Like I said, I used to only be able to sew 15 minutes at a time. Now I could go an hour or two. So I completed my jeans, I think, in 4 days. They were already cut out. So if I had to add tracing and cutting and everything on top of that, I think my jeans would probably be like a 5, 6, 7 day project, start to finish. And I look forward to doing that. It's really enjoyable to be able to make pants that I can wear out of the house. I have made woven pants I can wear out of the house, but like to be able to make jeans is like, woo woo. If you haven't tried pants, totally try them. I started with pantsuits, like not pantsuits, jumpsuits, so that I didn't have to fit the waistband, but got like putting together the legs, which I mean, I had made like scrub pants before, or start with like a pair of pajama pants, something where you don't have to do a fly, you know, do a drawstring or like a full elastic waist, just to get the basics of how to put the crotch together and stuff. And then work your way up into more complex pairs. Speaking of pajama pants, I had gotten a bundle from Lamanzi Fabric of like pajama fabrics that went together. So it had a flannel and 2 jerseys, because I do need some loungewear. And so the flannel is a Mammoth Junior flannel in the colorway Strawberry. I love it. It's like a strawberry red pink with yellow and turquoise and very tiny little bits of pink on here. And I just made the Walk the Plank pants, which is a free pattern by Pattern for Pirates. Super easy. I made the 3X. It goes from XX small to XXX, which I think is like a 59 inch or 59.5 inch hip. It fits me, and my hip runs between 57 and 60 depending on how chunky I am. And it fits me loosely because it's a woven, so you need some baggy room. It is a 2-piece pattern, so like this whole side is one big leg, and then the other leg is one big piece. But the larger sizes, I think 2X and 3X, do have a supplementary piece which allow you to cut it with side seams, so that it would be 4 pieces in case you don't have wide enough fabric, because at that size your fabric has to be, I think, 46 or 47 inches wide. And like this flannel was really pushing it. I mean, if it had been half an inch skinnier, it would have made it. If you had 44-inch flannel, it wouldn't work. And lots of fabric comes in 44 or 45 inches. So I have some 55-inch flannel. It just kind of depends on the brand. That said, I love these. They're insanely comfortable. I love this flannel, and I would buy so much more of it. It's really comfortable, very breathable, not hot and sweaty, perfect for fall. I adore it. I did cheat. It was supposed to have 1 or 1.5 inch elastic, and I had 2-inch elastic, and I had 1/2 inch elastic, and I was not going to the store to buy more. So I used my 1/2 or 3/4 inch elastic, and I just made it work. It's not the end of the world. And then I have a tag in here from So Anonymous. This is Stitch Witch. I do tend to put tags in all my clothes because it helps me know which way is forwards and which way is backwards, and also because it looks cool and I like to do it. It's kind of like signing your artwork. I don't like making my own personal little like knitted bean tag. I want funny, funky, and preferably sweary tags. The only exception being I do like having the jean leather tag that it has the knitted bean on it, and I really hope my husband can fix those because they look so cool, but they wash out. I guess the stamping just wasn't deep enough or something. It came with 2 matching jerseys, which I turned into anything but basic tees. These both have, this has a Molly Molly label. I think this is a Molly Molly label too. I could be wrong. Mickey? I think that's Molly Molly. These are just basic tees with a scoop neck. The Anything But Basic Tee is a pattern by the Do It Better Yourself Club. I don't know if that's still around or not. I've at varying times not had access to that website and then have had access to that website. This particular, like, Lamanzi does these packages where you're ordering enough to make like a chunk of an outfit or an outfit. So in this case, pajamas with 2 matching tops. And you can order it based on your size. So like in my case, it always comes with enough flannel to do the bottoms. But I know that I need like at least 1.5 yards of fabric to do like a regular jersey top. Lots of people can get a jersey top out of 1 yard though if you don't have really big boobs, broad shoulders, and a big waist. And so you can order, like, do you want 1 yard of fabric plus the flannel, 1.5 yards plus the flannel, 2 yards plus the flannel, depending, like, did you want long sleeves, right? Then you would need 2 yards plus the flannel. And so I ordered the combo set, and it gives you a bit of a discount when you order that combo set. Like it just comes pre-wrapped in some nice packaging, and you're getting stuff that you know matches, like, you know, these 2 colors match the accent colors in those pants, and you know you're getting enough to make those outfits. They have recommended patterns that go with them, and I think you can even order the package with their recommended patterns, or you can use other patterns. I already had some patterns, so I didn't need the pattern. I didn't order it with the pattern. The Do It Yourself Better Club Anything But Basic Tee comes with a ton of options. It's like 4 sleeves and 3 necklines or something like that. It's like a high crew, a crew, and a scoop neck, short sleeve, elbow length, 3/4 length, or long sleeve. I went with scoop neck and short sleeve for both of these because that's kind of like my preferred style. And it's the Eco Cotton is what came in my bundle, and I really, really like it. I wear these t-shirts a lot, not even with the pants. So very, very functional. The Anything But Basic Tee goes up to a 63-inch bust and a 67-inch hip. So like that one is super size inclusive. I really like it. I made a straight size 26 on that, and it fits good. Of course, it's going to have some negative ease because it's jersey. The Walk the Plank Patterns for Pirates pants, that is a free pattern, like I said. I think you just sign up for email and you get it. It comes in shorts, knee length, cropped, and floor length. I made the floor length. And then the last, most recent thing that I made, which I just finished the other day, you can tell I'm kind of like trying to get ready for fall with all the longer sleeved options, is also a pattern for pirates. Patterns for Pirates. It's called the Hourglass, or the Henley Hourglass. So she has a lot of hourglass figure patterns, which are just patterns designed with a curvy shape hourglass in mind. So if you are somebody with an hourglass body, they are based on a curvier block figure versus a less curvy figure. So whether you're male, female, NB, whatever, doesn't really matter. Like, some people have that hourglass, some people don't, right? And so this just helps you pick, like, I have a very hourglass, my husband doesn't. The Henley comes with the option of a Henley, obviously, or a crew neck, a hood, short sleeve, 3/4 length, which is what I did, with a button tab rolled, or a button tab with a cuff. I did the rolled. Long sleeve or long sleeve with thumb cuffs. A short length hem, a short length with whatever this is called. My brain is blanking. Tunic length or a curved hem. So it has a ton of options as well. This fabric I got from the Confident Stitch, which is, as far as I know, the only garment fabric shop in Montana. It is in Missoula. I love it. I have been to it in person one time, but I order from them online a lot. And a lot of people not from Montana order from them online. It is a Charlie Harper print called Rented Skulls, and it is based off of his artwork, The Rented Skull. I got these cool beetle buttons from Plies and Hellhounds, who has some haberdashery now, as well as yarn. And this brown that I used as accents, and the waist is I think it's a merino wool knit. I know it's a wool knit, but I feel like it's a merino wool knit in like a mocha, and I don't know where I got it. I feel like I got it off of Stone Mountain and Daughter, but it's super nice. It's very thin, super soft. It's washable, although I would dry it on low, and I love it. This fits super good, and I'm very much in love with it. The fabric was a Christmas present for my husband this year, that I've been wanting it, and it was gonna be like gone, out of stock. Like it was our last yard and 3/4, and he was like, I'll just buy it for you. And I think it's an art gallery knit that did it. They do some Charlie Harper knits sometimes, and I just am so happy about it, but it's not quite cold enough to wear it. It's getting there though. It goes up to a 54-inch bust and a 58-inch hip. Again, I made the 3X, which was the maximum size, and it goes from a doll extra small to a 3X, which I think is basically all of the patterns for pirates do that. And they all have pretty good instructions too with visuals. Also a YouTube channel with tutorials for a lot of their patterns. So that is what I've got as far as what I have made. I love it. I can't wait for it to get cold enough to wear this. As far as what I am going to be making, this is technically a flannel. It's sea wool, which is mostly oyster shell and recycled PET plastic, but it feels like a lovely, lovely flannel. It, however, looks like a tweed. It's Robert Kaufman. It's amazing. I really want it. I got it from the Confident Stitch. And I have a plan to make the Merchant and Mills Quinn pants, which are like sailor pants, with the buttons on the side and the pockets in it that will look like dress pants but feel like lounge pants. That's my plan. I ordered 2 yards of it. I needed 3. I think it was the last 2 yards they had. When I washed it and dried it and measured it, I only have 1.5 yards. So I think it might be that the 2 yards was a little bit short, like the end of the roll, and they didn't realize that. And then I washed it and dried it, and of course it shrank some on top of that, because it does. That's why you wash and dry your stuff before you sew it. So they're out. I could find it in like 3 different stores online, and that was it. And so I found a remnant, like a 1 3/4 yard remnant, and I ordered it from Surge Fabrics, I think. It'll be here next week, and then I can get to it because I've already traced the pattern and cut out the pieces and stuff. I just need to cut out the fabric, and then I'm good to go. So I'm super excited about that. I want that. I'm trying to get some pants ready for winter, because last winter when I was super sick, I only had capris, like I said, and I froze my ass off, and I was sitting in a wheelchair all the time because I could not walk last winter at all. I could barely stand up, and when you sit still, you get really cold. So it was like double whammy. I was like wearing a blanket over my lap all the time.
editing echo here one more time. So it turns out I did find the original 2 yards that I ordered from the Confident Stitch, and it was the correct length minus just a little bit of shrinkage. I had apparently figured out that I needed an extra yard to make quinn pants, and so I ordered a yard and a half from someplace, probably another remnant, and that was what I had found later. I now have 2 remnants plus the original 2 yards. So I have enough to make quinn pants and probably some lounge pants to go with it.
I also have some. Are you out of my way here, legs? Beep, beep. Beep, beep. I also have some Robert Kaufman linen. Oh, man. Robert Kaufman linen, like I said, which I am a big fan of. This is heliotrope. It's like a light lavender purple. I intend to make this into some Mitchell pants by Closet Core. They come in a tapered length and a wide leg. Tapered is ankle length, wide leg is floor length. They have some belts at the side that are optional for either one of those. Sorry, Lily's shaking. So I think these are going to be a tapered one. And then I have some other Robert Kaufman linen, which is this sparkly black with metallic rainbow threads in it. That I think is going to be a wide leg floor length version of the Mitchell pants. So I'll have quinn pants, 2 pairs of Mitchells. I actually don't know what this is or where I got it, but it is like a lightly striped mauve twill, very light mauve. And I think I might make a pair of the Half Moon 101 jeans out of it as like a test pair. I think I have enough for it. Okay, my camera cut off and I don't know where. So I'm gonna do this bit and then I'm gonna find out what I need to re-record for tomorrow. I think that's all I have for crafting. I hope you guys don't mind that it is mostly, or in fact all, sewing and no knitting and no spinning. I will get back to them. I do enjoy them. I do love them. I do miss them, but right now my hands are being assholes. This in fact hurts, like just making this motion. Like I take my pain medication for that, like to the point where I can get stuck in a room if somebody closes the door and it has a regular doorknob, because I don't have the grip strength to open the door unless it has like a lever door handle. It has happened. It is not fun. So I put this towards the end because it can be triggering for some people and they don't want to see it. And I don't say that lightly. I feel like that is a word that is super overused anymore. So I don't mean it in that way. Like I do mean it can genuinely be triggering for some people. And for other people to come to the internet to relax, this isn't what they're here to hear. And I understand that. That's okay. If you don't want to hear this, goodbye. Have a good day. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you are. I think that's what I used to say. Not a big deal. I'll see you next time. But I know that some of you are also genuinely curious. And one of the things that I always wanted to do when I started podcasting was to be super honest and open about what it is like to be disabled or ill or chronically ill or whatever this is that I've got going on. And to be fat and to be me, right? And all the various things that go with high logs. She's like, I'm seeking the sun. to be all the things that go with that. So I used to say that I was chronically ill, etc. I am chronically ill. I still would say I'm chronically ill, and then I got on disability and I would say that I was disabled. I would definitely more identify as permanently disabled now than chronically ill. Like, even when I'm not ill, I am much less functional than what you might imagine yourself to be or somebody else that you know to be, depending on what your situation is. I don't think that's a bad thing, or that makes me ineffective or not worth the same thing to society or anything like that. When I say less functional, I mean less functional in the day-to-day world that was designed for fully functional people, right? Like, if things are set up the way I need them to be, I can be fairly functional. Can I go to work and work an 8-hour day? No, because I can't even do a hobby an 8-hour day. Some days I'm not even awake for 8 hours, quite honestly. At least one day a week I am not awake for 8 hours. Some days I'm only awake for 4 hours, and that is like kicking my ass. It is what it is. So I was gone for like 18 months, maybe close. It's probably been close to a year. I feel like the last time I podcasted, I said something like I might be back in December probably. And December was a long ways away. And that December has since come and gone, and we are now near the next December. So I don't know if it's been like 18 months or if it's been 24. And I can't tell because my brain's a little Swiss cheesy. My brain is a little Swiss cheesy because I got so sick it affected my brain. I still have aphasia. I still slip up my words and things like that. I wouldn't say my cognition is 100%. I would say it's like 90%. Like I never think quite like I used to think. I think I do, but I don't. I really struggle for words and concepts. I'll remember a thing and then not remember it like 10 minutes later. Like, I still cannot remember what the band on the bottom of this shirt is called. It's just gone. So I don't remember a decent chunk of things from when I was sick. They all blur together. And in the way that I said, this can be triggering for some people. Topics like this can super be triggering for me, and I had to get to a place where I could talk about it, because I'm sure there are things from the last year and a half that I don't remember because I've intentionally not remembered them, because they were kind of horrific, specifically related to the way that medical personnel treated me, or that the medical system kind of like put me through the ringer, so to speak. Mind you, I was medical personnel for 20 or more years. So when I say that, I'm not saying all medical personnel are bad. I am saying medicine as a profession is a very scary thing in our current world dynamic in the US. I know a lot of people in medicine. I know a lot of people who've left medicine because of how scary it is. The pressures and expectations that are put on those people are extreme, and they have an effect on patient care. And I think had I been sick 20 years ago, in some ways I would have been treated worse because we still don't really know what's wrong with me. And in some ways I would have been treated a lot better because nurses and doctors were allowed the leeway to actually provide care to their patients in a way that capitalism doesn't allow them to do right now. And especially post-COVID, like the numbers and ratios for nursing and things like that are so scary that things happen with patients I could never imagine when I was younger taking care of patients happening, you know, such as not having a single CNA on the entire floor to take care of patients. And so patients not making it to the bathroom because there's nobody to take me. And then being shamed by nurses because the nurses are themselves having a mental breakdown because they have patients who need to go to the bathroom who aren't getting to the bathroom because there's nobody to take them, and the nurses are expected to do not only their job but also the CNA's job. But then because nobody could take the patient to the bathroom, now there's a very large mess to happen and a bed change that needs to happen, which takes even more time than simply taking them to the bathroom would have taken. Plus the person next door is having the same problem, and I'm sitting here in my mess hearing that girl bawl about their mess next door through the open door, and I'm just like, and they're like, would you like some drugs? No, I really wouldn't. Like, I don't want to be drugged out for this, because if I'm drugged out for this, I won't even know the ways in which I'm being neglected. Like, horrifying things. Or having a nurse literally try and chemically restrain me without telling me, while trying to claim that I am mentally not aware. While I'm so mentally aware, I can tell what she's doing because I can identify the pill in her hand. Like, that nurse ended up not taking care of me. I ended up getting the charge nurse for the night. But like, scary shit. In the last 18 months, I have been in the hospital 5 times? 4? 5? I literally don't remember. 4 times for sepsis alone, for a total of like 53 days. Plus then an additional time for my gastroparesis. We could not figure out why I kept getting sepsis. I ended up on really, really insanely high levels of steroids and was not able to come off of those steroids. With repeated lung infections, I ended up going down to Denver for hopefully some diagnosis at a specialty hospital and some treatment. That hospital was falling apart. Much of my diagnostic testing didn't even happen. And I'm not going to talk about that because that still makes me really mad. We spent thousands and thousands of dollars and received horrible care. Horrible. And the trip itself was so, I was so not healthy enough to make it that the trip itself almost killed me. And taking it caused my body so much stress that the steroids ate my skin, and I ended up with wounds from my elbows to my shoulders where my skin just peeled off my arms completely, and I spent like 9 months in wound care for that. All of that for really the only thing that we learned from that trip was that I aspirate, and so a lot of my infections were coming from aspiration pneumonia, and that I have an immune problem, which that was the good thing that we did learn. I don't think we ever would have learned that up here. And up here it would have taken me probably 6 months to get a test for aspiration that I was able to get down there in 2 days. But we didn't get a lot of the other tests that they had wanted to do because those doctors had either left with no notice, their system was down, various things. They were being bought out by the same system that just bought out my hospital up here, which is causing problems up here, because this is what happens when big financial companies own 450 hospitals in the US at a time. They don't give a shit about an individual patient. And so it took 9 months to wean off the super high dose steroids. I was bedbound for much of that. I developed bed sores, and which I've had a problem with before, pressure ulcers, because I have gastroparesis and I have very poor nutritional uptake. No matter what I eat, I don't digest well, and I couldn't breathe basically, and I was having heart issues related to the amount of fluid that I was retaining because of the high steroids that were keeping me breathing. And it was sort of a thing where like they were like, you can either stay on these or go on these really high steroids, or we can put you on a ventilator. And I know, given a lot of my other medical diagnoses, is that those don't mix well with ventilators. And if I had gone on a ventilator, I probably would not have come off or lived. So I chose to go on the steroids instead, knowing the side effects. I had every side effect you could possibly have from steroids, from horrible striae, which is where your skin pulls apart, and I now have scars like this everywhere. My skin would split open, and at one time I had like 17 wounds. and to steroid-induced glaucoma. So I was literally going blind and could not see even with my glasses. When I was in Denver, I started losing my vision, and thankfully I went to the doctor fast enough. They were able to get me on some eye drops to lower the pressure, so my vision came back and I don't have any permanent damage from that. To steroid-induced diabetes, which is now resolved, and I mean, literally, you name it, if I could have it, I had it. And so yeah, I basically spent like a year living in a hospital bed in my house. They tried to put me in a nursing home, and I told them that I would rather go home and go on hospice. So then they decided they better figure out what was wrong finally. And I have some kind of immune problem, but we don't really know what, but it's something to do with my long bone immunity. I have finally gotten, my immune system has finally rebounded into the very low lows of normal, but basically for like 10 or 11 months of last year, I like couldn't leave my house because I was in isolation, except for to go to wound care and doctor's appointments, and I had physical therapy and nursing coming in to do wound changes and physical therapy, and I couldn't walk because I was so deconditioned, and the steroids specifically affected my core muscles and made me so weak that I had trouble sitting up. And every time I would try to walk, my heart rate would be in like the 170s because I was septic, and I would, yeah, it was a hot mess. I tried to die like 4 times last year. 2023 sucked. Very slowly, I have gotten better. I have gotten off the steroids. I got off the steroids in February. I did not start feeling even remotely close to what I used to feel like until probably June. And June, July, August, and all of September, the last 3 months, 4 months, I've been feeling, this is pretty close to what I feel like I used to feel like. Minus I can't walk as much, and I cannot stand nearly as long as I used to. If I stand up for like 10 minutes, my face will get hot and sweaty. I don't have real good balance. My memory is worse. And so much stuff happened in the last year. I got a big abscess in my mouth because my immune system was so bad that I got an abscess from your normal oral bacteria that like exploded out, and I had to get like my cheek cut open and have it drained out, and then it wouldn't go away, and it kept coming back, and like I literally can't even remember everything that went wrong last year. It's not a good year, you guys. I have scars all over my arms now from where my skin melted, but as many scars as I have, I promise you, it looks so much better than it did when I went to Denver and I looked like I had acid thrown on my arms. It was so bad. It was so gnarly. And then I went through TSA, and in the time it took me to sit through TSA, I got a stage 3 coccygeal ulcer. I was like, I need to go home now. I'm literally dying. It was horrendous. Horrendous. I literally like ended up back in therapy for the ways the hospitals treated me. It was so bad. And once in a while I would get put in the hospital, I'd get put on a different floor, and they'd be angels. And the doctors would be like, wow, you are the biggest zebra I've ever seen. This is crazy. And they'd take great care of me, and the nurses would be so good. And then I'd get thrown on a different floor the next time, and they'd be like, you can get up and walk to the bathroom. And I'd be like, hi, I literally am on the floor now. Like, it was awful. So, yeah, that was my last 18 months. I started a new medication about 4 months ago now that's normally used to treat lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. I don't have either that we know of, but I do have some kind of autoimmune disease. We don't know what kind. It does not fit into any normal parameters, and I don't honestly think I'll ever get any diagnosis. It's just going to be echoitis forever. However, the medication seems to be working. My hands are doing a lot better. I get stuck inside rooms far less often. I still can't open jars without specialty equipment, but you know, someday maybe. And I have the energy to record a podcast, which I haven't had in so long. So I'm happy to be back. I make no promises for how often I will do this. We'll see. Right now I'm sewing a lot. I hope to get back to my other hobbies soon. I am happy to have you all here with me and join me. And I hope you enjoyed this little hot mess express of a sewing journey. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'm happy to answer anything. It is what it is. But I'm back for now. One thing I did want to mention, if any of you out there have ever had a baby or major life stress and a major illness and had all your hair fall out, you are not alone. And I would just like the world to know that this does happen. I about lost my mind because all my hair fell out, and I may not like all of it. And people were like, oh, like this was something they'd never heard of. And then I Googled it and I was like, so this happens frequently when you have a baby, apparently? I am in my 40s and I had never heard of this. I don't know if this is just like something that one mom relates to another mom and like it's a big secret, but like it shouldn't be. Like people should know that big stresses on your body, like growing a child or trying not to die 4 times, can make all your hair fall out. I'm still trying to like grow back this weird bit here where my husband would try and do my partial shave, but he didn't have very good aim, and so it ended up like way over here by the end of the year. And my hair started growing again like 4 or 5 months ago. So like this part is thick. This part, that's all there is. Can you see that? That's all there is. It's not even as thick as a pencil. It's just all gone. I thought about waiting until I got a haircut to do the podcast because I was like, well, it looks really funny and I can't really wear it down at all because that is literally all the hair I have there. And my hair should be this long right now. And then I thought, no, I feel like people should see this. This is what happens to your hair when you try and dye. Like, I've heard of the whole, like, your hair turns white. Yeah, I didn't go gray. It just all fell out. So, I hope you all had a better 2023 than me. I know, unfortunately, that some of you didn't. I've seen on Instagram and various YouTube things that some of you had a really rough year, too. And for that, I just say, right there with you. Sometimes life is an asshole. But hopefully we all make it through it. I hope to see you guys sometime soon. Like I said, I'm not going to promise when, but hopefully sometime not 18 months from now, there will be episode 37. And we'll see what I come up with. Hopefully some more pants. Have a good day.